The first type of macromolecule we're going to focus on are carbohydrates, which are the sugars. The monomers of carbohydrates are what we call monosaccharides. And the key thing here is that they are single ring structures. So this is glucose. It's a single ring with some carbons and hydrogens and oxygens sticking off of it. Fructose is also a single ring, and galactose is a single ring. Deoxyribose and ribose. So you can see that each one of these is made up of a single ring, and those are our monosaccharides. Now, if you were to put monosaccharides together, so if you formed a bond between glucose and fructose, now you've got two building blocks that are stuck together, and we would call that, a disaccharide. So a disaccharide is when two monosaccharides are bonded together. So we can see this example here, where if you have a sucrose monomer and a fructose monomer stuck together, bonded together, this makes sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide, and it is table sugar. So it's the sugar you put in your coffee or sprinkle in on your cereal in the morning. You can see down here we've got lactose is another disaccharide, and it is made up of a glucose molecule bonded to another glucose molecule. And then down at the bottom, we have maltose, which is also a glucose molecule bonded to another glucose molecule. But you'll notice it's different than lactose because of the way it's bonded. So they do have a different shape to them, and that different shape gives them different kind of functions to them. Now we could keep adding more monomers onto these disaccharides. So we could take a sucrose and add another glucose to the fructose here. So anytime you have three or more monosaccharides, or those building blocks, those monomers, we get polysaccharides. And poly just means many. So polysaccharides means many sugars. And here are a couple of different examples of polysaccharides. Think about starch. So starch is the kind of complex carbohydrate in things like potatoes and corn. And each one of these little hexagons is a glucose molecule. Glycogen is another polysaccharide that our body uses it as a way to store carbohydrates in our body, and that primarily happens in the liver. Cellulose is a polysaccharide that makes up the structural component of plant cell walls. So when you eat plants, when you eat, a salad or something, and you eat the cellulose, this is actually what we more commonly call fiber. In our body, we actually lack enzymes to break it down, so it passes right through our gut and comes out the other end. So think about if you've ever eaten any corn, you notice that corn maybe several hours or a day or so later, it comes out in your poop still looking like corn. That's because we can't digest the outer kind of coating of a kernel of corn. We can digest the stuff inside, so you do still get calories and carbohydrates from it, but the cellulose part is the part that comes out the other end. Now, sugars have a lot of different functions to them, but some of the main ones we're going to focus on for this course are the use of sugars as an energy source. So it's a fairly quick way for your body to make ATP. And as a reminder, ATP is just the energy molecule used by the cell. So the digestive system is able to break the bonds in sugars and then store the energy released from breaking those bonds in molecules of ATP. And then ATP can be used by cells for different functions, such as making a muscle contract or active transport across the cell membrane. Carbohydrates can also be structural. So we talked about the cellulose, which is part of the cell wall of a plant. So it kind of helps to give that plant a structure so that it's not just lying limp on the ground. The glycocalyx is involved in cellular identification. So every cell in your body has a glycocalyx, which we also kind of call the sugar coat, and it gives that cell identity. That glycocalyx can help the cells stick to something. It can help your immune cells identify pathogens like bacteria, but prevent themselves from being attacked by immune cells. So the glycocalyx has a lot of different functions associated with the cell, and it's primarily made up of sugars, although there may be proteins and fat also associated with the glycocalyx.